This is Brian from ActiveMelody.com. This is part 2 to the mini-series on how to play country lead. So part 3, the next one that'll come out, will be showing you how to play the rhythm part as well. So I want to include all the guitar parts that go into this track. If you want to download the jam tracks so that you can practice, or the tablature, I've got all of that available at www.activemelody.com. What you're going to want to look for there is EP001. That's the first part of this series. So you'll see that at the beginning of the title. So it's EP001, 002, which is this lesson, and then 003, which will be the one that the next one, which will be the rhythm lesson. So anyway, wanted to start off with that. Let's get started on part 2 to the lead. All right, so let's jump into the second half of the solo. Now the first thing that happens is this lick that goes. Okay, got that? Now let's move on. No, I'm kidding. Let's break that down. What happens there, by the way, so we're in the key of A. So most of these licks that I'm playing right here are in pattern 1 of the minor pentatonic scale for the key of A. As a reference, that's if you go to ActiveMelody.com, you'll see the blues lead course. That's what I'm referring to when I say pattern 1. Those are the notes in pattern 1. So what we're doing is we're playing, and if you'll notice, your ear will tell you it's got a bluesier sound to it, and so that's why, because we've shifted into the kind of the minor pentatonic for this part. So what happens here is I'm putting my ring finger down on the 8th fret, 2nd string, and then I'm going to take my middle finger and put it down on the 7th fret, 3rd string. Now the challenge to doing this bend is you're playing 2 strings at the same time. One of them is bending and one of them isn't. And so that's the hard part. It's just a natural tendency that you're going to have for both strings to bend, but in actual fact what happens is one stays. So this 8th fret 2nd string doesn't move at all. Here. But the note below it is doing a full bend. So if you'll notice here too, I put my middle finger on the 7th fret 3rd string because that's the note we're bending. But if you'll notice, just behind that string, the 3rd string on the 6th fret, I've got my pointer finger in place, and that's just to help push that string. So I'm actually pushing the string or bending the string with 2 fingers, just because it's hard to do. If I didn't do that, I don't know that I would have enough torque to be able to do it without, or at least with my hand. I don't think I could do it without using 2. So what you're trying to do is, it's a full bend, and when I say full bend, that's 2 frets above the fret you start at. So 1, 2, and there's your note you're trying to hit. Now the other hard part about doing something like this is obviously when you're fretting and playing it behind a fret, you're locked into the note. When you're bending, you're not. You could overbend it, which will make the note sharp, or you can underbend it, which will make it flat. And this is really where your ear comes into play. The only way you're going to know if you're matching this note is by your ear. Not your rear, your ear. And that just comes with, some of it's God-given and some of it's just practice, you know. So what's going on with my right hand is I'm using my ring finger and my middle finger to pluck those strings. So I'm playing strings 2 and 3. You could do this with your pick. You could do it either way. So if you did it with your pick, it'd sound like this. A little different sound. But I like to pluck them when I'm doing this style. That's just what's comfortable for me. Do what's comfortable or best for you in that part of the solo anyway. Either one will work. So okay, and what I do is I play that 3 or 4 times, I think, and then I come out of that and I go into this part where I go. That's the first part. And what I'm doing for that is I'm coming out of the bend and then I'm taking my ring finger and I'm barring the first 3 strings on the 7th fret, but I'm only playing strings 2 and 3. Those 2. So see what I'm doing there? I'm just switching position. Okay. Up to speed a little bit. It's okay. So after you play the 7th fret, strings 2 and 3, you're going to play the 5th fret, strings 2 and 3. Same principle. So I'm just kind of barring those first 3 strings. And then I do this little pull-off hammer-on thing. We're still bouncing between fret 7 and 5. Now we're down to the 4th string, so I'm going to go. It's a pull-off, and obviously I'm anchored here on the 5th fret, 4th string with my pointer finger, but I'm doing a pull-off from the 7th fret, 4th string, and then I follow that right up with a hammer-on to the 7th fret, 5th string. So it's like this. Slowly, it's like this. Notice with my right hand, I'm picking once, and then the rest of the work happens here on the left hand. So just practice that pull-off thing. It's really not that hard. I think a lot of people get intimidated by the combinations of hammer-ons and pull-offs, but I think with like 20-30 minutes of practice of just doing a pull-off, you'll have it. And you'll have it for life. It's not that difficult. Okay, so let's rewind now, and I'm going to play all of that kind of slowly so that you can have it as a reference. So it's a little slower. Okay. Then after that, after the hammer-on, I do this thing where I go. Okay, and what I'm doing there is I'm barring the first 3 strings on the 5th fret, even though I'm only playing strings 2 and 3. We're back to kind of that 2 and 3 thing. But I hammer on to the 6th fret, 3rd string with my middle finger. And what that's doing, that's just completing the A chord. See, that's just the A chord. You think of an A bar chord? You could do the same thing with a bar chord, just by taking your middle finger off and dropping it on. We're just doing it like this. Okay? So then we're back to the 7th fret, strings 2 and 3, and then we're back to the 5th. And we're going to hammer that same thing on again. The only difference that time was I think I did the timing a little different. So up to tempo it was like. So here the first one is real fast. It's just this kind of dig. Okay? So while we've got this barred, this is real easy. All you do is you come up and you hit the 1st string, 5th fret, to play that A note. Real country sounding, but also, you know, bluesy, so it's kind of nice. It's by the way, this little lick I use all the time. It's really, really powerful. So if you had a slow blues, you could do. And then you could go up to another key, and like when the song goes to the D part, you could go. Anyway, I'm starting to take a side tangent there, but I like to kind of point those out every now and then just so you can start to think about how else you might use some of these licks. Okay, so after that, after I hit that high A there on the 1st string, 5th fret, then I come and do this thing where I go. And that's just a real pedal steel sounding lick. That's where that comes from. This is another challenge where you're holding one you're bending one string with one finger, but you're not bending the other string with the other finger. So my pointer finger stays there on the the 5th fret, first string, playing that A note. But then my ring finger on 2nd string, 7th fret, does a full bend. See? 2 notes. And then while that, now this is the hard part of this bend, is while this bend is in position, you keep that in position long enough that you can hit the A note and then come back and hit it again so it never moves. Then you can relieve the tension and play your final note, which is 5th fret string 2. So again, slowly it looks like this. And if you're kind of new to playing and your calluses on your fingers aren't really good, that would be kind of hard to do. Just because you're holding that, and a lot of it depends on your guitar and the action on the guitar and all that, but it's just hard because you're trying to hold that note exactly in place so that when you hit it again the second time, it's the pitch isn't off. It's easy to almost get lazy and lose the tension a little bit, so do something like this. You know, you can tell it's a little flat, but anyway, it's just something to play with. You can. This is the kind of lick you could just sit for an afternoon and you can sit and play with it and have a lot of fun with a lick like that. So, okay, so let's, and then that final note, just I play a little vibrato there to give it, well, it's almost like you're singing it, because the next thing that happens is you almost, if you're thinking of it as a vocal, you would take a breath, so you can go into the next position, you know, the next part. And so a lot of phrasing that happens in a solo, it really is around the way that you would sing it. And I actually do that subconsciously when I'm playing just a solo. I'm singing it in my head. And when I find myself when I'm taking a breath, you know, because I'm actually, a lot of times I'm singing it even out loud. When I take a breath, I'll stop on the guitar to go into the next phrase. Plus it gives your brain a chance to sort of think of where you want to go next. But anyway, let's play the whole thing now up to that point. So that's kind of the first half of the second half of the solo, the country solo. So here's what we got. That's up to tempo. Let's do it slowly. Notice too, with my right hand, I'm doing a lot of the picking, most of it with just my ring finger and middle finger on the right hand. This is really up to you. You could do this with a pick and it would be just fine. I think it's when I get into country mode, I don't know what it is, but I tend to want to pluck the strings a little bit. And for a lot of that real fast, you know, chicken picking stuff, you kind of have to play it that way. But for this part that I'm showing you, you could do it either way. But that's how I'm doing it. You know. Okay, so then what happens after that is I come up here and I go. That's the next thing. And you're starting to hear how country, I mean, that's a pedal steel. It's just a pedal steel lick. And for some reason that makes me think of the Dukes of Hazzard. I'm not sure why. But what happens there is I put my pinky down on the 12th fret first string. This is another one of those where one string stays constant and one string is bending. So the pinky finger on the 12th fret first string stays the same through that whole little part. The bends are the notes below it that are. And what I'm doing there is I've got my ring finger on the 12th fret 2nd string. So I have those two notes. I'm playing string notes 1 and 2. But then I take my pointer finger, as soon as I get into position here, I just do it like this. And what I'm doing is I've got those two strings I just mentioned, but I take my pointer finger and I go ahead and put it down on the 2nd fret 10th, I'm sorry, the 2nd string 10th fret. Because when I do this pull off, so I do the bend, it's a full bend on the 2nd string 12th fret. There's the bend. I'm playing those strings 1 and 2. Then I come out of the bend, so it's the reverse of that. But as soon as I come out of the bend, I do a pull off. And when I pull off, that's why I've already got my finger in position on the 10th fret 2nd string to be able to play that note. And then to close this lick out, I just play the back to the 12th fret 2nd string, but without the bend, and then back to the 10th fret on the 2nd string. Hear how this note is the same? Okay, so that's that part. Alright, so then the next part is a part that goes like this. That's the first part of that, this last little piece. And again, this is a pedal steel deck. Now this is a difficult one. This is difficult for me too. And I've been doing this for a long time. It's difficult because you're trying to, part of it's where you're at on the neck. I'm in a kind of a high position. But you're trying to bend. So it's a full bend. That's the first thing that happens. And by the way, I'm on the 15th fret, 13, 14, 15, 16. I'm sorry, I'm on the 17th fret. I always have to count these things. 17th fret 2nd string. You'd think I'd know this by now. 17th fret 2nd string. And I do a full bend. Just like that. Now while that bend is, hits the note, I'm going to take my pinky and I'm going to play the 17th fret 1st string for that note. So those two together sound like this. Okay? And this is where this lick is difficult. This is what makes it difficult, is because after you hit your pinky on the 17th fret 1st string, then you have to come down to the 15th fret on the 1st string, but you have to keep this bend in place the whole time. So what I mean by that is I push it up, and then I have to play around, while it's up in position, I have to play 2 notes on 2 frets so that I can return to it and let it down. So it's like this. You hear that? And what makes it difficult is the fact that it's very easy for you to make that note go flat or even sharp, because it's hard to keep control while you're trying to play these two notes, because that bent note has to stay in position. So it's now you could do it an octave lower, and it's actually easier to do down there. But I don't know if it's any easier. It's not any easier to bend. It's just the frets get smaller up here. I think you have a little more room to make a mistake or to be off. But so that's the hardest part. I think that's the hardest part of this whole solo, is that if for some reason that's too difficult, if you're trying this and you think, oh, I can't get that, just improvise and do something like that. you know, where I'm just kind of bouncing back and forth between strings 2 and 1 there, or whatever, you know, whatever you think makes sense. But so, all right, so to close out the solo, then what I do is I play, this is another one where I'm holding one string but I'm bending the other. I'd play this little part. Now this is exactly the same notes as here. Hear how they're the same? But the thing is, the reason I'm doing it here is because you're already into position. You're already close to this, so. So what I'm doing there is I'm the note that stays is the 17th fret 2nd string, and I'm playing that with my ring finger. And then I'm going to go to the 16th fret 3rd string, and that's the string that I'm bending. I'm doing a full bend while I hold the 17th fret 2nd string. So I'm playing strings 2 and 3. And after I come out of that, I come down and I bar the 14th fret strings 2 and, well, I'm actually barring the first 3 strings, but I'm only playing strings 2 and 3. Okay, so it's like this. Now, while I've got that bar in place, what I do is I actually, after I play that, I come up and I grab one more string, which would be the top 4 strings that I'm barring now. So it's, so that gives me a chance to come up here and play the 14th fret 4th string. And to close out this lick, I go. And all I'm doing, I'm just keeping that bar on the 14th fret, first 4 strings, playing the 4th string on the 14th fret, and then I hammer on to the 16th fret 4th string, and then I come up here and play strings 2 and 3 while that bar remains the whole time. So it's strings 2 and 3, but the fret is 14. Okay? So practice that over and over again until you have that down. Now this whole last little part here together sounds like this. Again. Okay. Then to close this out, I come down here to the 9th fret and play the 5th string, and I hammer on to the 11th fret. So I'm hammering from the 9 to the 11th. And then after that hammer, I go ahead and I bar the first 4 strings on the 9th fret, and I play strings 4 and 3 on the 9th fret. So that's what that is. I come back to the 11th fret 5th string, strings 4 and 3 on the 9th fret, and then I hammer on to the 11th fret 4th string. Okay? Slowly, it's like this. That's an E. Okay, so let's go over that whole last little bit. It goes. And that's it. And then I just sort of slid down and played an A. And you could repeat the whole thing if you wanted, or you could go wherever after that. But All right, so that's the end of part 2. Hopefully that's been helpful to you. I tried to go into lots of detail so that you can learn all of those parts. And again, just as a reminder, if you need the tablature or the jam tracks for this lesson, you can go to activemelody.com and you can get those. You can get those there. Now, the next lesson we're going to learn, the next part in this series will be the last one, but I want to go into the rhythm to this. So the rhythm part's kind of fun too. So make sure you tune in for that one. We'll see you in that lesson.